Why do people wait for proof before believing in somebody? Ooh, that's big. Ooh, that's big. I think it's just the social conditioning. I think in the world we live in, everybody wants to like to follow the leader. And if somebody say, "Oh, this is hard," or "This is cool," you know, it creates that same type of feeling for them, for others to. But the great thing about just this world and that how nature, no matter how people try to curate a certain look or a certain thing, nature always like brings in that variable of authenticity. Like, we can always like put things on certain platforms or just blast it, but certain things are going to reel us in, right? Certain variables that like we can't necessarily explain are going to reel us in. Prime example of a person like a Tupac Shakur, like no matter how, you know anything that was like portrayed or like any false thing, like it was like this level of authenticity that always brought us in. And those are just things that a number of views can't calculate. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people like to associate views with like popularity, all these things, but there's just a level of authenticity that cannot be calculated. And I think like Tupac is just one. He's just one of many prime examples of just a voice that was just so authentic and raw, um, that you know it wasn't social proof that brought people. It was literally him. But in most cases, like before people even consider even thinking about you, like people like looking at social proof for some reason. I don't know why. But well, I kind of know why. Like I said, it's just the fact of everybody likes to just hop on the train, right? Um, and when one starts happening and this one, um, it builds this level of credibility, right? And everything requires a grind, man. Building credibility, building trust, all of these things are things that aren't just given at the beginning. So I think it's important to gain trust and to build trust, just like how I do with this platform. I'm building a level of like trust with my community, and it's just all tied into what I just ultimately want to do, which is just be me, live my life. This desktop, streaming project, it is what it is. I'm very limited. I have very limited resources, but it's what I love to do, and in my ability to convey words and to just constantly be in this rhythm of constantly speaking and just giving something of what I observe in the world. I think people appreciate that, right? People just appreciate just the authenticity of me. And I think that's what allows for me to reach 41 subscribers. I think people just see something in me, and I appreciate it. It starts with 41. We started with 8. I really wish I would have counted. I really wish I would have did the sub count at 0 and then build it from there. But we started somewhere. We started at 4. We started at all these things, and day by day, we're building these. We're building. You know, like we're giving a reason for people to come back and for people to understand this is what I'm building. And I think people are going to appreciate stuff like this. You know, people are going to appreciate just the grind. And, you know, I just can't wait till I can take this so that I can do IRL. You know, I can't wait till I can do all of these small things that is really going to showcase just, you know, just a lot of who I am, you know. Um, you know, I'm not going to be any and everywhere. You know, I think I want to say like really like nowadays like you see so many streamers and they're just trying to hop on the next wave. Like it's kind of crazy, you know, like I'm going to really do what's necessary to separate myself and, you know, not in a weird way, but like obviously I believe being amongst a community is always helpful. Um, but always being where everybody is at, no. Like I never been that type of person, you know what I mean? Like, and there's just certain people that's just trying to be everywhere, you know, and don't got their own motion. You know, that's one thing about just even with like social proof and all these other things. Like, once you reach a certain level, like, you don't want to be the popular groupie. You know what I mean? Like, to be the person that's just everywhere and don't got their own. Like, you at every event, but you don't got your own. Like, you know what I mean? You happen, and I've said this, the quote yesterday about, you know, there's extraordinary people. You know, there's average people amongst extraordinary people, which means like you've reached a certain level, but amongst those people that are in that top percent, like you're the one that's average to them, you know? There's always going to be like this hierarchy. Every level in every tax bracket that you reach is going to be people that stand out, you know what I mean? And high enough to reach the next level or to just stay in that realm. So, I was just born to stand out. I know I never been a person that just was an in crowd type of person. Um, and I just like it's not like a fake. It's not like a like this is just the life I live. Like I never just crowd follow. You know, I just always like my own motion, and I think that's what makes me fly. You know, that's what makes me fly. They call me flyers for a reason. Okay, they call me flyers for a reason, cause I am the flyest. Okay. Um, you know that's just always been just something that I've always done was I've always followed my own path. um um you know, so but social proof at the end of the day I think is one of the most important things of credibility and trust, but it's not the only thing. I think people can definitely get it misconstrued and people can definitely get misguided, you know, just by looking at numbers and you actually look at the numbers and is it really good? Like, you're going to get the truth somewhere, you know. The truth is going to come out. So, but it's only those that really want to peel back the layers to get that truth. You know, that's another thing. You know, some people just don't want to know the truth. And we've talked about that, right? The blissful ignorance. Um, but yeah, that was